There's one mission for this summer, a smooth, clean operation. And here we are today, day one of minicamp, first issue.
Why is it always something with them? And this is part Joe Douglas, because we all got excited saying, wow, they got Reddick. Wow, what a nice move. Yet, in theory, on paper, sure, edge rush, you're going to be able to get to the quarterback. It's something the Jets could certainly use. Who can't use that? And then you start to hear the rumblings. Hey, he's not going to show up at voluntary camp or whatever, fine. Then you hear Saleh say, haven't even talked to him. These are starting to be red flags. And now today, he better show up. Otherwise, he gets fined. And it does create more drama. But you're exactly right, BT. They just don't need this. For once, can it just be smooth sailing into a season that you inevitably know is going to bring some hefty waves? Why can't the Jets just get off on the right freaking foot? Get this guy. Joe Douglas knew what he was getting into when he made this move.
Yes.
Lock him up.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing here. Now, listen, desperate people do interesting things, and I get it. In terms of just their self-preservation, saving their own asses, probably a more direct way to say it. They got to win. So, I don't know the level of clarity that Joe Douglas had inwardly when he made this decision to move on from Bryce Huff, which was a lot of money, which I do understand letting him walk away. But, bringing in Reddick, who was a good player, 29. But now it's like, okay, did Joe really examine all this potential ramifications of bringing in somebody who's going to be demanding a high-level contract? And let's face it, guys, we know a lot of things about Joe Douglas. He's drafted some really, 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 really great young players, but he's also made some baffling moves in terms of wasting money on some veteran Lakin Tomlinson, Dwayne Brown. So outside of, one player, I think Ryan Griffin, who was like 30 years old, backup tight end a couple of years ago, got like an extension. He doesn't do this. He doesn't take aging players and extend them when their deal is up in real time. He doesn't do it. So does he deviate from that now? I don't know. But it doesn't, and I don't want to make more of this than you need to, but this has to be the first warning flare, I think. And for me, and I know for you as well, this is where the level of confidence in the Jets organization to just have an uninterrupted, and I'm not talking about injuries, that you can't control, smooth sailing, fluid operation, let's go, all hands on deck, let's make a run for the Super Bowl. And I'm a positive Jets fan by nature. Does anybody really, truly think that this thing's going to be smooth sailing for the Jets? Does anybody think that?
No, it's not. And we're not sensationalizing the negative or just accentuating the negative here.
No.
This is a big part of this team. It was one of their biggest offseason moves, maybe the biggest with Reddick here. You got to get it done. The fact that he hasn't even communicated with the head coach, it to me shows that you have a player that you traded for that just wants to be paid. He doesn't care where he's going, what team he's playing on. He wants to be paid, and he's not going to show up. Now, look, maybe he does show up today. I don't think that's going to be the case, and he's going to get fined if not. But so what? He doesn't care about the fine. It's more detrimental to the team. This is basically a one-year thing for the Jets. Get the deal done. You traded for him. You knew you're going to have to pay. Just bite the bullet now and get it done and move on. Move forward with your hope to be a smooth sailing on into a season which should hopefully bring you your first playoff appearance in 14 years.
It's the longest drought in North American team sports. And if it doesn't end this year, everybody in the building right now, and I know that they're listening, and I respect them, but everybody in that building listening right now is gone. And they know it. 888-808-1019, BT and Sal, Brandon, Tierney, Sal, the Licata Show. I mean, I don't understand. There's one thing, and we'll get to these calls. I don't understand how here we are in June, and again, it's not the biggest deal, but it's a possible blossoming issue that could have a real impact and maybe derail this season. That's why I have a problem with it now preemptively. How the hell does the head coach not reach out and text Haason Reddick? Now,
especially a guy like that, like if Robert Saleh has, if he has one strength as a head coach, what do you think that it is?
I think that the players really like him, that communication, that kind of thing. Sure. It's not Sunday coaching, I can tell you that so far.
Right. It's certainly not in-game, It's certainly not in-game coaching. Yeah, we know he's a defensive guy, but it's about his rapport with the players. He's kind of one of them. He wants his guys to get paid. That's the appeal. Robert Saleh not having some kind of communication with Reddick at this point, to me, is unacceptable. I mean, you're not even taking advantage of Saleh's greatest strength. It shows me that Reddick, the player that Joe Douglas traded for, doesn't give a crap. Doesn't care about the owner, doesn't care about the head coach, doesn't care about the quarterback, the city, the team. He cares about the bottom line. He wants to get paid. They knew that coming in, so just pay the guy.
Yeah, and I don't have an issy with a player chasing everything. He's 29 years of age. This is not, baseball or the NBA, if you could shoot, you could hang around till you're 36, 37. I mean, not that Reddick couldn't play till he's 36, 37, but it's more of a finite window in the NFL. We know this. So cash in. I'll never begrudge a player
Right.
trying to get paid. I'd do the same damn thing. In the effort of trying to be fair to Robert Saleh, is it somewhat plausible that Robert Saleh reached out to Reddick and Reddick just didn't respond? But that might, maybe. Well, that could possibly be emblematic of a deeper issue. All I know is it starts today. And this is the last thing that you want. Figure it out. You know who you traded for. You know what's at stake. Let's go.
Well, you're right. I'm sorry.
No,
BT.
go for it, Sam.
You blame Joe Douglas or do you blame Reddick?
I blame... I don't blame Reddick. I think
Right.
that's the financial game that you play.
Right.
That's business.
Right. This is on Joe Douglas. Like, it's easy to sit here and say, well, Reddick's not showing up. Come on, you're on the team. You're under contract. Get your ass to camp now. It's mandatory. Otherwise, you're going to get fined.
Yeah. That's not realistic in the modern athlete. It's just not. We don't go like that
This
anymore.
happens all the time.
Yeah.
There was a reason why this player was available from Philadelphia via trade. Joe Douglas thinking he got a coup. Great. Now you got to sign the player. So to me, this is on the Jets again. And Joe Douglas, I'm not trying to pick on him. I like the move. But now
me too.
you know what you got yourself into. Go sign the guy so you don't have to deal with this nonsense hanging over you. Well, you don't need that.
Oh, first day. That's the story.
Yeah.
Where's Reddick? Well, he's not here. 888-808-1019, BT and Sal inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Carl is in Connecticut with BT and Sal. Carl, what's happening, buddy? How are you?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, Carl?
Listen, everyone needs to relax, okay? Everyone needs to pump the brakes. We're talking about voluntary practice in media day, okay? When Haason Reddick is strip sacking the quarterback 10 plus times like he's done in the last 4 years, we're not going to remember even talking about this.
Well,
okay?
hold on, Carl.
So I don't
Carl,
want to hear it.
Carl, hold on. Let's have a conversation. You might be right. Understood it. At that point, we'll jump up and we'll applaud and we'll forget about this conversation. I agree. There's also the chance that, and he's not practicing today, obviously, that this thing drags on deep into camp and it gets done. Hold on. And it gets done 5 days before the season, however it gets done. And in the first half of game one against the Niners, he pulls the hamstring and misses 5 weeks. Like, that's also possible.
All right. You're right, that is, but it's also possible that we sign him and we're all, like I said, saying like this didn't even matter. So guess what? He's also one guy on the team. We have the best roster in the AFC East, so he's one guy. You have to remember that too.
I understand.
I feel like everyone's...
It's not just he's
Thanks,
one guy.
Everyone's a little bit.
I'm sorry, Sal. Hold on. I missed this thing. What is this stupid computer? All right, here we go.
You got
My
it?
bad.
Okay. Yeah, it's not just one guy.
Hit the wrong button, huh?
He's an important guy, and he was a big part of their offseason. He's going to be an integral part of their team and their defense getting to the quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, could it be nothing in the end? Sure. That's what we're telling the Jets to make it nothing now, because the longer this lingers, it already started to linger, and we didn't pay any attention to it in the voluntary camp. Now it's mandatory, and the fact that he hasn't had, at least the last that I saw, didn't have any communication with the head coach. The fact that it doesn't seem likely that he's going to show up and going to be fine, this is a problem. It's a mini problem, but it's a problem.
I know that everybody's operated differently than the Patriots over the years when Bill Belichick was still there, but isn't this like one of the defining characteristics of the Jets versus the elite, well-run franchises? Again, it's not a massive thing, but it's lingering, and it's kind of trumping all the other good stuff.
Right.
Would this happen with the Patriots?
No.
Does this happen with the Steelers or the Niners or the Ravens as much? The answer seems to be no.
It happens with other teams, sure, but it seems to happen with the Jets quite a bit. And the problem is, and this is why I said it's on Joe Douglas, he traded for, think about it. The Eagles got rid of a player that they really liked and believed in with Reddick. They knew he was, I don't want to say a problem, but going in the direction of being a problem for them. And they said, okay, fine. We're going to go sign Huff. We'll give him the money. You want to call an overpay? Fine. We believe in the player. You take Reddick, and he's now your problem. They saw this. They had the foresight to see that Reddick was going to potentially be a problem. And obviously, I don't think Joe Douglas was just sitting on his hands. Obviously, there's an issue here with trying to get a contract done.
Yeah.
So now Joe Douglas is learning why the player was available from the Eagles in the first place.
Well, he's not a first year, second year, or third year GM. I mean, he should have known this before.
Right.
And Yeah, it does go against what Joe's done so far outside of the Ryan Griffin example I gave you before. He's been reluctant to, and when he's done it, quite frankly, he's been burned almost every single time, including Aaron Rodgers a year ago, though hopefully that changed this year, whether it's Tomlinson on the O-line, whether it's Dwayne Brown on the offensive line. When you throw money at aging players, this is what you get. So I'll have Joe's back in this regard. I don't think giving Bryce Huff the amount of money that the Eagles gave him was the wise, prudent play. I don't. I understand walking away from that. You got to save money for Sauce. You got to save money for Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall to a lesser extent. Understood. And even a Tucker if he stays healthy. But I find this interesting. Carl, the first call we take, he's like, everybody's got to calm down. Let me tell everybody right now, there will be nothing calm about this Jets season, and it starts today. You know why? Sal, if they're winning, we're Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
If they're losing, it is implosion, and it is holy hell every day on the radio.
Yeah, there is no in-between this year. This is it, and we're excited about Rodgers and excited about the Jets.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's important to discuss it now and have the Jets understand, need to nip this in the bud now before it becomes a bigger problem. Is it a big problem on June 11th or whatever today's date is, June 11th? No, it's not a big problem now. But if this goes on for another week or if this goes on into August, then it becomes a big problem where your premier pass rusher is not a part of the team. Like, you'd rather just have it smooth sailing. It's always something with the Jets.
888-808-1019, BT and Sal here on the Fan. Eric's in Rivervale on WFAN. Eric, what's going on, bud?
BT, Sal, how we doing, boys?
What's up, Eric?
Hey.
Oh, man, I love the fact that you guys are starting with the Jets today, and I couldn't agree with you more, BT. It is Super Bowl or bust for the Jets this year. It just is. And to think that this Haason Reddick thing is not a big deal is absurd. I mean, this is typical New York Jets. Like, we always find something, right? Something to make it a problem. And the truth is, like, the Eagles knew it, and everybody else knew it when they signed Reddick, is that he was going to need a contract. So why don't we just get the contract done and move on? Yes, is it going to be 3 years, 51 million, whatever Huff got? No, of course not. But it could be somewhere close to it. I mean, 3 years, 40 million, probably something like that.
Well, but Eric, they see the money to me. Well, it's obviously very significant. Thanks for the call there, buddy. To me, that's going to resolve itself, I think, or it's not, right? But to me, the greater issue, and probably more representative of the issues with the Jets, how is the head coach not spoken to him?
Right.
Even just a simple, hey, I got your number from so-and-so. Welcome to the squad. We got a bunch of dogs on defense. We're going to light it up. Can't wait to see you. That's it.
Right.
I mean, or, again, maybe Saleh did that. Reddick is kind of playing the long game, didn't respond. I'll be fair to everybody in the equation here, but yeah, and I don't lean into the I try not to. I'm not perfect with it, obviously. I try not to lean into the Jets are, forever flawed, fatally wounded. It's going to be the worst thing. This is just same old Jets. You know that I resist that here. But, the aspirations are and the expectations are through the roof. You're just starting on the wrong foot.
Who do you think's been a smarter organization, the Eagles or the Jets?
Oh, Philly, no question.
Okay, right. That's exactly, like, nobody's ever going to debate that. So here's Joe Douglas trying to get one over on Philly or trying to make a trade with them, maybe not realizing the extent of the problem he was taking on. But if Philadelphia is going to make a player available like that, your antenna's got to go up here. There is some kind of issue there. And now Joe Douglas is finding out. And this is exactly why I guarantee you Philadelphia's sitting back thinking, see, we got rid of this problem. We don't have to worry about it. He's now their issue. Yeah, we love the player, but he's now their problem. And Douglas is not in a spot here where they could overcome these apparently, minor. It seems to be minor now, but it's not a minor issue with this team.
That's one of the primary points, too. Think about this, guys. One of the things that I worried about, now, to his credit, Joe, when he drafted Fashanu, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted the tight end. We talked about that, Bowers, and maybe some other sexy things that are more interesting on draft day, although if you don't have the trenches, you can't win. We know that. But when you get a receiver, a tight end, a splash, you just get more fired up as a fan base. I was worried, given the imminent danger that Joe and everybody in the building is in if they don't win this year, that he might do something short-sighted to address tomorrow and worry about 2-3 years down the road. He didn't. So that was impressive, and that was really reassuring.
And I love that. I wanted the lineman. So I love that from Joe Douglas.
You did. I came around to it. I
Mm-hmm.
certainly understood it, but no, you were all for it. You loved it. And I think that something like this is where it could rear its ugly head. Like, all right, let's say we have a protracted, prolonged stalemate between, and I think that we probably will, Reddick's camp and the Jets. Who's going to flinch? It's going to be the Jets because they know that they got to pay him because they got to win or they're fired.
That's exactly the point. Joe Douglas, once he made that move, not only did Philadelphia dump a problem on him, whatever leverage Joe Douglas thought he had is gone. You made that trade for Reddick. You need the player. He wants a deal. You've got to get it done. This is not about the future. It's about now. He's got no leverage. Give him what he wants relative, obviously not going to go nuts, but give him what he wants and move on. And whatever it is on the back end that you're going to have to pay for, you suck it up. That's part of the deal when you made that trade.
888-808-1019, BT and Sal, Brandon, Tierney, Sal, Licata Show. I mean, honestly, yeah, the Niners, maybe the Ravens, maybe 2, 3, 4 teams around football in terms of A to Z have a more polished, well-rounded, explosive roster. I got news for everybody. The Jets are right there. The Jets roster, it's ready to win, and it's ready to win big. Do you trust they don't get in their own way? And here we are, day one, mandatory minicamp. It's not even about Rodgers, on bootlegs. How's that Achilles looking? Or anybody else they drafted or the young studs. It's about a guy who hasn't played a snap for the Jets. What's going on with Reddick? And that's not an optimal start. And it's disappointing. It really is.